In 1990, the film Home Alone premiered and immediately created a cultural phenomenon that etched itself deeply into the hearts of global audiences. With the story of an 8-year-old boy accidentally left behind by his family who must defend his fortress against two bumbling burglars, the work was not only a commercial blockbuster becoming the highest-grossing live-action comedy of its time, but it also became an indispensable part of the collective memory of an entire generation. It was a film about the fear of abandonment turned into the ultimate childhood fantasy of independence and courage. But behind those classic characters, behind the booby traps and the snow-covered Chicago streets, were flesh and blood actors with very distinct fates. 35 years have passed, and time has carved different marks upon their lives. Some rose to become icons of modern television. Some chose a quiet path away from the spotlight, and others had to stop their journey in tragedy. Today, let us turn back the pages of the tumultuous lives of the cast that created the soul of Home Alone. Macaulay Culkin as Kevin McCallister. In Home Alone, Kevin McCallister is the beating heart of the story, the disregarded youngest child who transforms from a helpless boy into the man of the house. With his angelic face, precocious wit, and that iconic scream while applying aftershave, Macaulay Culkin didn't just play a role. He defined a generation. At just 10 years old, his performance was a lightning-in-a-bottle moment, capturing a blend of innocence and mischief that was impossible to replicate. He carried the entire film on his small shoulders, making the audience cheer for his victories and fear for his safety. Using our background knowledge, we see that Macaulay Culkin's real life was a saga far more complex than the movie script. He became the most famous child star since Shirley Temple, a level of fame that can be suffocating. Following the massive success of the franchise and films like My Girl Culkin, found himself in the middle of a different kind of battle, not against burglars, but between his own parents over his fortune and custody. It was a bitter public feud that forced him to grow up too fast. In a move of profound maturity and survival, he emancipated himself from his parents at age 15 to take control of his own life and finances, effectively retiring from acting to find a semblance of normalcy. His young adulthood was marked by a retreat from the public eye and rumors of turmoil. He married young to Rachel Miner, a union that eventually ended, and later had a long-term low-key relationship with Mila Kunis. For years, the tabloids painted a picture of a troubled recluse, but in reality, Culkin was reclaiming his identity. He explored art music with his band, the Pizza Underground, and slowly dipped his toes back into acting on his own terms. He proved he was more than just Kevin. He was an artist with a unique voice. The connection between the role and his life is poignant. Kevin McCallister wished for his family to disappear, only to realize he couldn't live. Without them, Macaulay Culkin conversely had to make his family disappear, legally to survive, only to build a new, healthier family of his own later in life. Today, at the age of 45, Macaulay Culkin has found a beautiful redemption. He is no longer the lost boy. He has received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, appeared in American Horror Story, and most importantly, found peace and happiness with actress Brenda Song. They share 2 children, one named Dakota after his late sister. His journey is a testament to survival, proving that one can walk through the fire of early fame and emerge whole, happy, and loved on the other side. Joe Pesci as Harry Lime. In Home Alone, Harry Lime is the brains, if you can call them that, of the Wet Bandits. He is aggressive, short-tempered, and menacing, disguised as a police officer to scout the house. Joe Pesci, already a legend for his intensity, brought a unique energy to Harry. He didn't play down to the children, he brought a genuine edge that made the comedy work. His gibberish cursing when frustrated became a trademark of the character, a brilliant way to express rage in a family-friendly film. Joe Pesci's career is a fascinating study in contrast. In the very same year he was getting hit with paint cans and feathers in Home Alone, he was delivering a terrifying Oscar-winning performance as Tommy DeVito in Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas. This showcased his incredible range. He could be funniest man in the room or the most frightening. Throughout the 90s, he was a Hollywood heavyweight starring in My Cousin Vinny and Casino, however. Pesci was never one to chase the spotlight for the sake of it. He was a musician at heart, releasing albums under the name Vincent LaGuardia Gambini, and he famously walked away from acting in 1999 to pursue a music career and enjoy life away from the cameras. His personal life saw him married and divorced 3 times with a daughter from his first marriage. He was a man who valued his privacy, a wise guy who knew when to leave the table. For decades, he remained elusive, a mythical figure who would only return to the screen for something truly special. That moment came when he reunited with Scorsese and De Niro for The Irishman in 2019, reminding the world of his understated power. The connection between Harry and Pesci is the element of surprise. Harry underestimated Kevin at every turn. The audience, accustomed to Pesci's violent roles, might have underestimated his ability to be a slapstick genius. He proved that true talent knows no genre. Today, at the age of 82, Joe Pesci lives a quiet, retired life, stepping out only when he chooses. He remains a cinema legend, the man who could make us laugh while trying to break into a house and freeze our blood with a simple, funny how. Daniel Stern as Marv Merchants in Home Alone. Marv Merchants is the tall, goofy, and dim-witted counterpart to Harry. If Harry was the anger, Marv was the absurdity. Daniel Stern delivered a physical comedy masterclass. From the iron falling on his face to the tarantula on his nose, his high-pitched screams are etched into the memories of millions. He made Marv lovable in his stupidity, a villain who was more a victim of his own incompetence than a true threat. Daniel Stern's career is defined by a voice that is as iconic as his face. While he was getting beat up by a child on screen, he was simultaneously tugging at America's heartstrings as the narrator of The Wonder Years. His warm, nostalgic voiceover work provided the emotional depth for one of the greatest TV shows of all time. This duality highlights Stern's immense talent. He could be the clown, but he could also be the soul. He continued to work steadily in films like City Slickers and directed Rookie of the Year, showcasing his versatility behind the camera as well. Off-screen, Daniel Stern is a man of profound depth and artistic integrity. Far from the bumbling thief, he is a dedicated artist and sculptor, specializing in bronze statues. He has spent years cultivating his craft in the visual arts, finding a quiet satisfaction in creation that Hollywood could not always provide. His personal life is a testament to stability. He has been married to Lor Matos since 1980, a rarity in the entertainment industry, and they raised 3 children together, including a son who serves in the California State Senate. The connection between Marv and Daniel is a delightful contradiction. Marv was a man who left the water running to flood houses, the wet bandits. Daniel Stern is a man who has built a solid, dry foundation for his family, and his art Marv left a mess. Stern has created a legacy of beauty and laughter. Today, at the age of 68, Daniel Stern enjoys a life that balances his artistic passions with occasional acting roles, such as in For All Mankind. He remains a beloved figure, the man who taught us that sometimes the loudest scream makes for the best memory. Kieran Culkin as Fuller McCallister in Home Alone. Fuller McCallister is Kevin's bespectacled cousin, famous for drinking too much Pepsi and being a bedwetter. It was a small, humorous role, but for Kieran Culkin, it was the start of everything. He was just the real-life little brother of the star Macaulay, placed in the movie for convenience and cuteness. He was the annoying cousin everyone wanted to avoid sleeping next to. Kieran Culkin's journey is one of the most impressive slow-burn success stories in Hollywood. For years, he lived in the massive shadow of his older brother. He was Mac's brother, appearing in films like Father of the Bride and The Mighty, but rarely seen as the main attraction. He dealt with the same difficult family dynamics and the fallout of his parents' custody battle, but he managed to fly somewhat under the radar, honing his craft in independent theater and films like Igby Goes Down, which earned him critical acclaim. But destiny had a different script for Kieran. He didn't fade away. He exploded back onto the scene as Roman Roy in the HBO masterpiece Succession, 2018 to 2023. Channeling a lifetime of observing power dynamics and using his sharp acerbic wit, he delivered a performance that won him an Emmy and a Golden Globe. He stepped out of the shadow and became a giant in his own right. In his personal life, he is a devoted husband to Jazz Charton, and they have 2 children. He has spoken about the trauma of losing his sister Dakota in a car accident in 2008, a grief that keeps him grounded. The connection between Fuller and Kieran is one of underestimation. Fuller was the kid no one took seriously. Kieran was the brother no one expected to become a superstar, yet both made their mark. Today, at 43 years old, Kieran Culkin is at the peak of his career, celebrated as one of the finest actors working today. Journey proves that talent is not a finite resource in a family, and that sometimes the annoying cousin grows up to rule the world. Catherine O'Hara as Kate McCallister in Home Alone. Kate McCallister is the emotional anchor of the chaos. She is the mother who makes the terrible mistake of forgetting her son, but whose fierce determination to get back to him drives the emotional arc of the film. Catherine O'Hara played Kate with a frantic, grounded realism. We felt her panic, her guilt, and her exhaustion. Her scream of "Kevin on the plane" is one of the most famous sound bites in cinema history. She balanced the comedy of her journey with the genuine heartache of a mother separated from her child. Catherine O'Hara is a comedic genius, a national treasure of Canada and the world. Coming from the legendary Second City improv troupe, she possesses a quick wit and a chameleon-like ability to disappear into characters. After Home Alone, she didn't fade, she evolved. She became a muse for director. Christopher Guest in mockumentaries like Best in Show, displaying her improvisational brilliance. But her career reached a new dazzling peak with the role of Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek, 2015 to 2020. As the eccentric vocabulary, loving matriarch, she swept the award season, winning an Emmy and capturing the hearts of a new generation. In her private life, Catherine O'Hara is the antithesis of the dramatic characters she plays. She has been happily married to production designer Bo Welch since 1992, whom she met on the set of Beetlejuice. They have 2 sons and lead a life characterized by warmth, humor, and normalcy. She is known for her kindness and her ability to balance the demands of stardom with a grounded family life. She faced the loss of her close friend and colleague John Candy with deep sorrow, a testament to her deep connections within the industry. The connection between her role and her life is the theme of motherhood. Kate McCallister would travel across the world for her son. Catherine O'Hara has traveled through decades of Hollywood, nurturing her family and her career with equal devotion. Today, at the age of 71, Catherine O'Hara is more popular than ever. She continues to surprise us, recently joining the cast of The Last of Us Season 2. From the frantic mother in 1990 to the queen of comedy in 2025, her journey is a masterclass in talent and grace. Brenda Fricker as the Pigeon Lady. Although Brenda Fricker appeared in Home Alone 2: Lost in New York, rather than the first film, her character, the Pigeon Lady, is inextricably linked to the soul of the franchise. She played the mysterious homeless woman in Central Park, who initially terrifies Kevin but ultimately becomes his savior. And friend Fricker brought a profound sadness and warmth to the role, delivering the moving monologue about trust and a broken heart that gave the sequel its emotional weight. She was the heart of New York City in winter. Brenda Fricker is an acting legend, the first Irish actress to win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role in My Left Foot, 1989. Her talent is undeniable, characterized by a raw maternal intensity. However, her life off-screen has often mirrored the solitude of the Pigeon Lady. She has spoken openly about her battles with depression and the black dog that has followed her for much of her life. She experienced a tumultuous marriage to director Barry Davies, and his death in 1990 left her a widow at a relatively young age. She eventually stepped away from Hollywood, returning to her native Dublin. She has lived a life of relative seclusion, candidly admitting in interviews to feeling lonely during the holidays, a heartbreaking parallel to her famous character. yet she retains a sharp wit and a fierce independence. She never sought the glitz of fame, preferring the honesty of her craft and the quiet of her home. The connection between the Pigeon Lady and Brenda Fricker is hauntingly beautiful. Both are women misunderstood by the world, carrying deep emotional scars yet possessing a capacity for great love and kindness. The isolation she portrayed on screen was drawn from a deep well of personal experience. Today, at the age of 80, Brenda Fricker has largely retired from acting, though she made a brief return in the TV series Holding Her Journey is poignant. One reminding us of the human need for connection and the silent battles many fight behind closed doors. She remains one of the most respected actresses of her generation. John Hurt as Peter McCallister in Home Alone. Peter McCallister is the calm, somewhat distracted patriarch of the family. While Kate panics, Peter tries to maintain order. John Hurt played the role with the gentle, affable charm. He was the successful businessman, the provider who loved his family, even if he lost track of them in the airport shuffle. His performance provided a necessary stability amidst the chaotic energy of the rest of the cast. John Hurt was a highly respected actor, a veteran of the stage and screen who was often called an actor's actor. He had a prolific career appearing in groundbreaking films like Big and Awakenings, and later in the hit series The Sopranos, where he earned an Emmy nomination for playing a corrupt detective. He had a natural ability to play characters who were intelligent but flawed, often carrying a sense of weary realism. He worked tirelessly, accumulating hundreds of credits, always bringing a sense of professionalism to the set. However, John Hurt's personal life was far more turbulent than the suburban dad he played. He was married 3 times, including a brief, intense marriage to Margot Kidder. His relationship with actress Melissa Leo was fraught with difficulty and a bitter custody battle over their son, which played out in the headlines. He struggled with the demons that often plague sensitive artists, navigating a life of high highs and low lows. Despite the personal storms, he remained dedicated to his craft, working up until the very end. The connection between Peter and John is a study in contrasts. Peter McCallister had a perfect house and a seemingly perfect life. John Hurt lived a life of complexity, passion, and struggle. He was a man searching for the peace that his character seemed to have so effortlessly. But that journey of a talented soul had to come to a sudden halt. On July 21, 2017, John Hurt was found dead in a hotel room in Palo Alto, California, where he was recovering from minor back surgery. He passed away from a heart attack at the age of 71. His death was a shock to his fans and co-stars. He left behind a legacy of incredible performances, remembered not just as the father who forgot Kevin, but as an artist who gave everything he had to the screen. John Candy as Gus Polinski in Home Alone. John Candy appears as Gus Polinski, the polka king of the Midwest. He is the benevolent stranger who offers Kate McCallister a ride to Chicago in a rental truck with his polka band. In a movie filled with selfishness and danger, Gus is a beacon of pure kindness. He listens to Kate's worries and shares his own stories to comfort her. Though his screen time was short, filmed in a grueling 23-hour session as a favor to the producer, his warmth stole the show. John Candy was a comedy legend long before he put on that yellow satin jacket. He was the lovable big man of Hollywood, starring in classics like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and Uncle Buck. He had a gift for making audiences laugh while breaking their hearts. But behind the laughter and the larger-than-life persona was a man carrying a heavy burden. Candy struggled with his weight and health for his entire life, fueled by the stress of Hollywood and a deep-seated desire to please everyone. He was known as one of the kindest men in the business, but he often neglected his own well-being. His personal life was filled with love for his wife Rosemary and their 2 children. He was a devoted family man who tried to balance the chaos of fame with a normal home life. However, he was haunted by the early death of his own father from heart disease, a shadow he felt looming over him. He worked relentlessly, perhaps sensing that his time was short. The connection between Gus and John Candy is total alignment. Gus. Polinsky was a man who went out of his way to help a stranger. John Candy was a man who gave of himself until he had nothing left to give. He was the polka king of our hearts. But the music stopped far too soon. On March 4th, 1994, while filming Wagons East in Durango, Mexico, John Candy passed away in his sleep from a heart attack. He was only 43 years old. His death sent a wave of grief across the world. He left behind a void that has never been filled. The legacy he left is one of pure joy and kindness, a reminder that the biggest hearts often leave us the soonest. Devin Rattray as Buzz McCallister. In Home Alone, Buzz McCallister is the quintessential big brother bully with his flat-top haircut, his tarantula, and his mean-spirited teasing, "I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass." Devin Rattray created a character we love to hate. He was the antagonist within the family, the reason Kevin wanted to leave in the first place. Rattray's portrayal was so effective that for decades people only saw him as Buzz. After the success of the films, Devin Rattray worked steadily to build a varied career. He appeared in Nebraska Blue Ruin and even The Tick, trying to show his range as a character actor. He wanted to be seen as more than just the bully. He was a working actor, attending conventions, engaging with fans, and trying to leverage the nostalgia of Home Alone into a sustainable career. However, his life took a dark and troubling turn, shattering the nostalgic image in December 2021. Rattray was arrested and charged with domestic violence following an altercation with his girlfriend in Oklahoma. The details were disturbing, involving allegations of strangulation. This legal battle and the serious nature of the charges have cast a long, dark shadow over his life and career. He went from being a figure of childhood nostalgia to a figure of controversy and legal scrutiny. The connection between Buzz and Devin is a grim case of life imitating art's darker edges. Buzz was a bully on screen. The allegations against Rattray suggest a real-life struggle with anger and aggression. The charm of the bad boy evaporated, replaced by the reality of serious personal demons. Today, at the age of 48, Devin Rattray's career has stalled as he deals with these serious legal issues. His journey is a cautionary tale, a reminder that the characters we see on screen are performances, and the reality behind them can sometimes be far more troubled than we imagine. Angela Goethals as Linny McCallister in Home Alone. Linny McCallister is one of Kevin's older sisters, best known for the memorable and cutting line, "You're what the French call less incompetence." With her sarcastic delivery and teenage attitude, Angela Goethals captured the essence of sibling rivalry. Though her role was not large, that specific line became one of the most quoted insults from the movie, cementing her place in the franchise's lore. Angela Goethals was a talented child actor with a promising trajectory. Following Home Alone, she appeared in the film Jerry Maguire and had a recurring role in the seminal TV series 24. She was not just a one-hit wonder, she possessed genuine acting chops. However, unlike many who cling to the spotlight at all costs, Angela made a conscious choice to prioritize her own growth and education. She attended Vassar College, earning a degree in French, ironically fulfilling her character's famous line and proving that she was anything but incompetent. Her life path diverged from the typical Hollywood narrative. She chose to focus on theater and voice work, often appearing in audiobooks and stage productions. This decision allowed her to live a life of normalcy and depth. She married actor Russell Soder in 2005, and they have built a family. Together, she stepped back from the relentless grind of on-camera acting to focus on raising her children and enjoying a life defined by personal milestones rather than box office receipts. The connection between Linny and Angela is one of intelligence. Linny thought she was smarter than Kevin. Angela Goethals proved she was smart enough to know when to step away from the fame machine to build a life of substance. Today, at 48 years old, Angela Goethals lives a quiet, fulfilled life. She occasionally steps back into the arts, but on her own terms. Her journey is a refreshing reminder that success isn't always about being on the biggest poster, but about making the right choices for one's own happiness.